So you can see this was kind of like, building this groundwork of restructuring society. I wonder if, Hegel just wanted to reform, and he was part of this group that wanted to burn it down.
Yeah.
And there's a quote I actually have written from this. It's kind of
the thing is, you don't fucking have to wonder, because you could go look up the fucking answer. It's the thing. You can't just speculate. It's not like we don't know what Hegel thought. He was a philosopher. He wrote everything down. Like,
he was very prolific too. I want to start at the very beginning though, just because I'm curious where he jumps off, and then do some random drop-ins.
I have with me tonight Miss Nisha.
What's up, everyone?
so
And we're going to be talking about Karl
why does
Marx.
his studio look exactly like the old studio?
So I'm not sure how deep the lore goes. I haven't heard back from Chris Poole, Tim Poole's brother, but it is still the same studio. They're still recording in the same space. It's just he's doing his own thing, and like I don't know what they've worked out in terms of rental fees or whatever, but they had some kind of a dispute over funds. That's all I know. That's the depths of my lore.
Fair enough.
We're going to basically bounce off each other through his history of his life, talking about communism and his ideas, and maybe, the whole Communist Manifesto and all that.
Manifesto.
I want to say thanks to a couple different people. I actually had two different people send me the levitating light bulb, and you see it here, spinning on my desk.
This is great. See, right away, we're getting into Marx's discussion of commodity fetishism.
The material analysis is going to be so easy.
It's going to be off the chain.
He'll literally hold up materials for us.
I see chat is going nuts. It's official. I have spinning things. Not only that, I have two spinny things.
Oh, that's why
you see it over there.
Neat.
You can see the spinny light bulbs, and it's kind of good. Like, I turn it on. Ooh, yes. And funny enough, I don't have to spin it. It just spins. Look at it. It's just spinning. I'm not
we make fun of this guy and pretend like he's high all the time, and he makes it real fucking easy.
I know.
This is the behavior of a high gentleman.
Yes, it's very petty. It's petty on both our parts. But
I'm not. I think it's endearing. I think if he is just high all the time,
it's one of my favorite things about him. To be totally honest, it's the most wholesome thing about him. Like, it's always like it veers into the strange. He'll be like, yeah, I just want to be like a songwriter. Like, cool. He's like, and a model that travels the world. And you're like, okay, he's a little stranger now. And he's like, and also the race war is starting, and we should help and abate it. You're like, oh, well, how about some weed, man?
Yeah. Well, how about instead of having a race war, we just smoke more weed?
That's something we can all get.
Clip that one, everybody. Clip that.
Not even doing anything.
No. Oh no!
Technically,
that's going to be on the internet in like 10 minutes.
But no one would know. But anyway, I'm very excited about that.
When will the lights turn on? Because you can turn them on and off.
When I have a really good idea.
Nice.
I'll turn it on and be like, oh, bing! I've got a good idea. I don't know. Anyway, spin the bulb.
It will never be turned on.
Someone just said it. Helix just said it in chat, and I see a lot of people saying it. But you know what? I kind of like it, right? It felt so lacking, not having something to spin, and now I don't even have to spin it. It is
now
just
you have two
straight
things
up
to spin.
spinning. Well, I have something for the guest or co-host to spin, or turn on. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Bing, 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 bing. But I'm going to keep it off because I kind of like, look, it actually warps my hand. It's kind of trippy. Very nice. Anyway, now that
thanks for sending those to whoever.
Do we have to say anything?
Very cool. Thank you so much.
It is more wholesome.
Pretty nice. It didn't feel complete, my desk here, without something to spin, or at least something spinning.
Get rid of the Trumpy bear. And this is a cozy scene.
I have a spinning device.
Might have to make a little podium or something for the so it gets raised up so they can see it a little better.
Yeah, that's true. They could tell that it's actually a floating, light bulb. It's actually floating. You can you can't see it, but it's suspended in midair. It's pretty cool. So yeah, maybe I'll raise it up and figure it out. I was thinking maybe what was that?
Why would you not position the camera so that they can see the thing you've been paid to talk about?
I have no idea.
Like, he's been talking about these fucking light bulbs for 3 minutes. He could have just moved the fucking camera.
Barely in frame, or just hold one up. Like, you just...
Any objections if I just skip ahead a little bit?
No. I was about to say the exact same thing. I was like, can we get past the? Let's get into the Marx. Let's get into some theory. All right.
Here we go.
I want to learn things.
Here we go. There's some words here.
Oh, nice. Less by religion than by critical and sometimes radical social policies of the Enlightenment.
Nice.
His Jewish background.
He's literally reading the
him
encyclopedia.
to prejudice and discrimination that may have led him to.
That's honestly better than I would expect. I would expect him to go straight to Wikipedia.
I am not throwing shade. For a lot of other people, that would have been an insult. But no, I'm actually quite happy with the source in this case.
Questioned the role of religion in society and contributed to his desire for social
that's an
change.
Improvement from Tim Pool.
It's interesting because later on, he actually, like in letters between him and his best friend, there's a lot of like they don't speak highly of Jewish people.
Really?
Like, yeah, they kind of shit talk them, but.
But he was Jewish, wasn't he?
Yeah. His dad was.
Yeah, I have his angles.
Are they already
letter to
getting into the
Engels,
racist stuff?
Cool.
Everyone loves.
Did you know he said some pretty anti-Semitic shit? Did you know that about Marx? He was pretty anti-Semitic, bro. Yeah, got some bad quotes.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard about how he said some anti-Semitic shit to refute an anti-Semite in a letter one time.
It's
pretty damning stuff.
What's with all the context? What are you trying to?
And here's the thing. I can't support anyone that said something problematic. Anyway, do you like my Trumpy bear in the background?
Yeah. Anyone want to vote for this guy? the one who brags about sexual assault? Yeah, that dude. Oh wow! Yeah.
The guy who said that he always gets Jewish accountants because they're good with money. That guy?
Yeah,
that's the guy.
They're better with money, apparently. Yeah,
he is rather blunt about exactly that, and other races too. But we'll get into that later. That's further on in his life. So now he's going to school. He was educated from 1830 to 1835 in high school in Trier, and it's interesting. The school itself was under surveillance by the police state.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they were watching his school, and his writings during this period exhibited a spirit of Christian devotion and a longing for self-sacrifice on behalf of humanity. So you could tell that he got some of the roots of wanting good for everybody through the Christian school that he was in.
Oh, that's where it came from.
It is interesting. You can tell that he kind of. Yeah. It was like this weird mix of his father was successful. He was a successful lawyer.
Yeah.
He's going to school with Christian values, although was Jewish. So
and he idolized his dad.
He did.
He went on to study
Despite being Jewish, he still managed to want to help people. Yep. Yeah.
Well, he figured that out, right?
Very normal conversation.
Thanks to the Bible, because the Bible helped him.
Yeah, I mean, thank God he had Jesus in his life, or otherwise he would have,
he would have been an even more raging anti-Semite.
So let's see. In October in 1835, he matriculated at the University of Bonn. The courses he attended were exclusively in humanities, in subjects such as Greek and Roman mythology and the history of art. He participated in customary student activities, fought a duel, and spent a day in jail for being drunk and disorderly. This is true. He actually got in a duel with... Do you have information about this?
Yeah, well, that's where he has a scar above his eye.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from.
Yes.
And he started like a university club, and there was other clubs that had opposing views. And so they would often just, argue and get drunk and like have fights.
Yeah.
And then one of those fights led to an actual duel.
I like... Well, I was going to say, I love... Yeah, I love how they're focusing on like a lot of these kind of wilder anecdotal stories of Marx, but I was like, the one you're telling, I don't know if it's supposed to like disparage him, just makes him sound kind of like a badass old-timey figure, right? Who like actually engages in duels while drinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, can you imagine if you like were reading a history book about your favorite philosopher and you found out they had never been in a duel, like how could you respect them after that?
That's true.
Now, back in the day, if you were anybody, you were getting in duels, you know?
Yeah. But like 3 or 4 generations from now, they're gonna have to look back at us. I debated someone on the internet. Like, oh yes, he was a true warrior. That one, he debated on the internet.
That's where I got my scar and my clout.
And actually, he was proud of this scar. He was like, yeah, that's right. I was injured in a duel. I'm awesome. Anyway, so that's
so he was arrogant already as a youngin.
Yeah.
He was like 17 years old at that time.
Well, and you think about he came from a wealthy family.
Yeah.
So he has money behind him too, which I feel could very easily lead to being more arrogant than the average person. So I guess.
So your rebuttal, okay, so your attempt to discredit Karl Marx is to say that people with money might have an inflated sense of their ability to run society. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Yeah, he sounds like rich bougie Marx. He's a trust fund baby, which I didn't know.
So let's see. He's in school. He's studying. He left Bonn after a year. What, you got something out there?
Well, his dad actually
Oh,
was like fed up with him like having these fights and like drinking and being an unruly teenager. So he transferred him to Berlin University, because that was like a more studious university.
Interesting. You know, that's funny. It doesn't even have that information here because it says after he left Bonn.
So you're telling me they left some information out of the encyclopedia article? Okay.
What? It's not the sum total of human knowledge just like printed on every page?
Or he left Bonn after a year, and in October 1836
and also suspicious. A little bit curious as to why this one piece of information was left out from the Encyclopedia Britannica. I don't know. Agenda much?
All those Marxist revisionists over at the Encyclopedia Britannica just trying to make Marx look good.
Yeah, of course.
So Marx's crucial experience at Berlin was his introduction to Hegel's philosophy, a regnant there, and his adherence to the young Hegelians. You have stuff
Nice.
about
The
that?
Hegelians.
Yeah, what were they about?
Okay,
Yeah,
first off, pause. Adorable. All right, that sounds like a horror movie villain, like the Hegelians. Like, oh no, the Hegelians are gonna get us. Like, I love that. In fact, hey,
we solved the puzzle cube, and now the Hegelians are released.
Yes. Oh man. Okay, so if we ever make a fucking horrible, shitty YouTube movie, you know how like YouTube people end up making YouTube movies and they're always terrible. It should involve the Hegelians at some point. That's all I want to say. And also, I'm sorry. I can't. Yeah, because we're good.
This lady who he's brought on, presumably he wanted somebody who knew a lot about Karl Marx.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know how to pronounce young Hegelian.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I'm trying so hard not to be condescending though, because I hate the idea of excuse me, what, they haven't read all 3 volumes of Capital? Well, this is not becoming, I'll say. Quite gauche. But
yeah, okay, yes, like, true. Or like there's obviously
you're totally right. Like don't know that like it's like it's the key influencer to a lot of like, you know, what ends up crafting his theory. So yeah, you should like it should like I'll say this much: it shouldn't be a new name / word to you upon doing a 3-hour special.
First time you're hearing it.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's fair. That's not us being too bougie.
I mean, we didn't make fun of him for not being able to pronounce matriculated, because that has nothing to do with the topic.
But I did
hand.
laugh like an immature piece of shit. I was immediately like, which is so unfair.
It's a reflex. You can't help it.
I mispronounce words all the time. Words I know. I mean, it's pretty hypocritical of me. But yeah, it was just like it was a guttural reaction.
What was it? It was the history. He was a professor at the university who had like recently passed away. And a bunch of the students were like really devoted to his ideas, which were about like the history of, let me see if I wrote it down. It's like a gradual unfolding of freedom and of reason. It was like ideas related to that. So they started this group and were really devoted to Hegel.
Yeah, I have it here. It says the left formed the young Hegelians for the most indirect disciples of Hegel,
I love it.
The dialectic as principle of movement.
Oh, this
and
is
viewed
great.
Hegel's identification of the radical, the
rational.
rational, with the real as command to modify the culture and political
You know what's
reality.
incredible about this?
That reactionism.
I feel like we're bread pilling someone.
Justifying.
I don't know where. Someone somewhere is being bread pilled right now. I don't know how. Someone in some corner of the internet.
What's incredible about this is that they knew they were going to do this stream. He did not read the encyclopedia article ahead of time.
No, I know. The one thing it's like I didn't have the time. There's so many sources. You see, like, come on, each volume is like thousands of pages. It's like no, but we got that one Encyclopedia Britannica article for you to read.
Like, I did more research for my video coming out tomorrow about Achewood than they're doing for one of the most like important economics people in history.
And to make it rational.
That's a mouthful.
It was a mouthful. I did it. I got through it all, though.
No idea what it means.
So he joined this group, the Young Hegelians. And I guess it says... Go ahead, what do you got?
Like, the professor wanted reform, but the group were like so idealistic and so into him that they wanted like a complete revolution.
He's like, no, I just want to fix what's wrong, and they're like, no, burn it down.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. But this was also like a time of, so the Prussian state was very conservative, but the ideas of from the French Revolution were like flaring up.
Yeah.
So, you know, the kids were inspired by that. They wanted to like push up against this wall of like conservatism and religion that was, you know, had a steady hold on the town they were in.
Okay. So let's see. Well, it says here, at first he felt repugnance towards Hegel's doctrines. When Marx fell sick, it was partially, as he wrote this to his father, from intense vexation at having to make an idol of a view I detested. So he actually detested Hegel's work.
Interesting.
The Hegelian pressure from the revolutionary student culture was powerful, however, and Marx joined a society called the Docker Club.
Ergo, vis-a-vis. He despised everything he ever wrote. Clearly, it was a love-hate relationship. Like, you see.
It's also like they came into this with the narrative that they had, and they're getting surprised by every sentence.
Oh yeah,
Like,
every time there's a period, it's like what?
He hated this guy? What?
The philosophy?
I thought he was a Hegelian.
Was he not a Hegelian? Don't the Hegelians make you sick with philosophy? Oh, so much great new lore.
Their chief figure was Bruno Bauer, a young lecturer in theology, who was developing the idea that the Christian Gospels were a record not of history, but of human fantasies arising from emotional needs, that Jesus had not been a historical person. Marx enrolled in a course of lectures given by Bauer
hear about
on
some
the prophet
Gnosticism.
Isaiah. Bauer taught that a new social catastrophe, more tremendous than that of the advent of Christianity, was in the making. Young Hegelians began moving rapidly towards atheism, and also talked vaguely of political action. So you can see this was kind of like, you know, building this groundwork of restructuring society. You know, I wonder if, you know, Hegel just wanted to reform, and he was part of this group that wanted to burn it down. Yeah. And there's a quote I actually have written from this. It's kind of
the thing is, you don't fucking have to wonder, because you could go look up the fucking answer. It's the thing. You can't just speculate. It's not like we don't know what Hegel thought. He was a philosopher. He wrote everything down. Like,
he was very prolific too.
You could just, I guarantee, go on YouTube. Philosophy Tube definitely has a video about Hegel. Like, you can just go and learn it before you come to present it and say, oh, well, you know what I think? I bet he thought this. Like, check.
They treat it the same way they do like Marvel lore, like for the movies that are coming out. Like, you know, I've been looking up on ScreenRants.com, and it's kind of interesting what Hegel thought about like that after credit sequence. You know, I got some theories. I got some theories, bro. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if you read to the end of I don't know, a book by Hegel. He didn't write Symposium. I don't know who that was. Anyway, there's a cameo from Immanuel Kant.
Oh, at the very end.
Yeah, it sets
wow.
up the sequel.
Is that the OG post-credit sequence? Was that the first?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's a shared universe. I feel like we're still in biography territory. I would like to skip ahead again.
Let's get to the eugenics.
So their parents were like, "No, we're not going to give you any more money."
So wait a minute.
Okay, so we're still in college.
We got Rich.
Wow. Communism is like the next phase that should follow.
He recognized
that communism would not be possible before there was capitalism in a place. Okay. So, but he thought that communism is sort of the natural.
I gotta stop doing the
natural progression of the how do you say this? The economic
society, maybe. You just kind of
the economic system, how it evolves.
Yeah,
that was the word I couldn't think of.
Well, and you know what? It feels like he was kind of ahead of his time, because if you really think about where our future is, not even where we are now. I mean, we just found out early in the week on the show, we talked about how they're 3D printing molecules. We're figuring out how to make carbohydrates from the sun, artificial photosynthesis. So these things are, we're moving towards this automation of almost everything.
Yeah.
So, the communism that has been over the past 100 years has been terrible. But everyone likes to go, well, what about Star Trek? What about the Star Trek future with replicators, and you just can print everything? And if that's the case, then you really can have a lot of these ideals from the manifesto that they talk about, without running into...
Yeah, like, how in the Communist Manifesto, they're always talking about how they're going to 3D print molecules, have artificial photosynthesis, like on Star Trek.
I'm trying not to do the thing where all I do is laugh hysterically, because I get the YouTube comments when they're like, "Are you actually going to pick any of this apart, or are you just gonna laugh like banshees?" But it's so funny. I'm not.
What is there to pick apart? Like really? Like, what idea is he presenting? It's like he so clearly is out of his depth, and he's not in particularly deep water. Like the thing he's trying to say is like, in a future with a post-scarcity type of technology,
post-scarcity resources,
working.
Of course, we won't have to worry about anything. So why should we need an economy if we have no wants, right? That's the only time when it makes sense to him. Or I should say to them, to those people. But I'm mostly talking about like conservatives or libertarians. Like, the only way this ever makes sense to me is with infinite commodities, infinite production. If you have if no one is wanting for anything, it's like, well, that's in a lot of ways what they're trying to achieve, just like with the things we have now. So other people don't have to starve. Well, a few of us have everything. It's like I don't like. I enjoy the bounty of the surplus, but also not the billions of people who have to make everything and die. So
it's also we have more food than we need now, and people are still going hungry. Mm-hmm. So at what level of overproduction of food
of scarcity
do people start getting fed?
That's so true. It's twice. We're overproducing food. We throw out twice as much food as we consume. Well, I think it's almost 1 billion people on the planet are below the hunger equivalent. So
1 in 11. Yeah.
Yeah. My word. That's so true. So we solved that. We have post scarcity for food, but it's not changing anything yet. That should be the next checkmate. It should be well, checkmate, capitalists. We figured that one out.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, the idea that because they're in the mindset that the only reason that there's poverty or hunger is that there's not enough food or money or whatever. But no, that's not how economics work.
All right, should we fast forward again? Are we still in kind of...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what was the name of his book?
Das Kapital.
Das Kapital.
That's not necessary.
So I haven't read that. and I don't really know too much about Das Kapital.
I would
Do you
have
know
been
what it's about?
astounded of everything. Yeah, well, of everything they brought up, I was like, really, Das Kapital. I hated reading Das Kapital. I'm not good on, like, you know, well, not even just theory, but the idea of having like mathematics to back up your ideas about economics, like that to me is the dry shit in the world. So I can't imagine having to sit through it all if you don't want to read the encyclopedia article beforehand.
What if he just pulled out like a well-worn copy of Das Kapital with like the spine all cracked, and he had like sticky notes where he put like all of his thoughts, and like it was all sticking out. He was like giving citations from the book. Like, imagine our reaction. Imagine we would be so pogged if he did that.
Oh, this is a great comment. If Das Kapital was a pussy, Ben Shapiro would be a communist.
Because it's dry?
I assume so, yes.
I see. Very good.
Do you know what it's about?
Well, I just wanted to say first about his life.
What it's about. It's not a novel, dude.
What's it all about, dog? Like, what's
Capital about?
What's in there? You know, like what's it vibing? Yeah, I don't know, man. What's it about? What are you about?
So he got so sidetracked from life in general.
Okay.
Like he didn't have any regular eating habits, regular sleeping habits. He barely cleaned himself. Probably, you know, a reason for some of his diseases that he developed. Not sure, but he had liver problems because he was drinking and smoking so much. Actually, I don't know if smoking causes liver problems, but I would assume so. Yeah, he led like a very destructive sort of lifestyle, and sometimes he wouldn't sleep for like 2 or 3 days. He would just, you know, manically write, and then he would.
So far, I've heard a sum total, I think, of like maybe less than a minute on the actual theories behind any of this, and the rest of the time they've just been talking shit. Like, oh, he was a lecherous drunk who would stumble through the streets and battle people in duels, and you know, on top of that, he smoked, which gives you liver damage. I'm told. So yeah, he got his liver was corroded from cigarettes. But I still have yet to hear anything about like what he thought.
I don't think they know.
Oh,
like maybe that's obvious, but like I genuinely don't think they know like anything. Like they, I think, have an idea of what communism is and what communists believe, like generally. But I don't think they could source any of it back to Marx. I don't think they could say what Marx's specific contributions are.
Well, it's everything that's bad in the world. That's a communism.
Yeah, I do love though that the point of this tirade seems to be that you can tell Marx is wrong because he's always writing like a dum-dum.
Yeah.
Like, way to write books, dummy.
Yep.
Come on. Watch yourself, why don't you? Yeah,
he didn't lead not a conventional life at all. And he wasn't working ever. He was working with his writing. That was his life.
Right.
And then he started going to the British Museum, and they had a reading room where he spent like, I think 14 years or something, 10 years, just spending, 14 to 16 hours a day just researching the capitalistic economy.
Yeah.
Day in and day out.
Nonstop.
Day in, day out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's basically where he spent the rest of his life in London writing, and he wrote for all sorts of different newspapers sporadically here and there. What else was he doing? And then I think he published
super cringe.
Yeah, he published the contribution to the critique of political economy in 1859. That was his first book on economic theory. Mm-hmm. So he actually was doing a lot of research, and I don't know much about that book, but it sounds like he was looking into economics, which is very important when you.
Yeah, I think he might have been. I think it's safe to say that Karl Marx was looking into economics, dude.
He had some passions. Apparently, he was quite fond of economics. I'm told.
Just read a blurb about what the book's about. Like go on like fucking Mises.org or whatever, or whatever conservative bullshit site you want to go to, and like pull a quote about what's wrong with the thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
do at least the bad faith effort.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But then we wouldn't get to learn along with him, because this is like the reading rainbow for Marx.
What if by the end of this, he's just like fully bread pilled? What if he's like on board once it gets to the end?
Well, I never thought I'd say this to you, but I'd like to call you a comrade, and to my fellow comrades listening, like, you know, let's rise up. You know, let's smash the bourgeoisie, and long live the proletariat.
It's just he's never heard of dialectical materialism before. And now that he has, he's like, what the fuck? That makes so much sense.
Oh, the Hegelians are in my brain.
The Anglians,
You know, and now he's in the library. He's doing all this research.
All right,
and he's
let's
realizing
fast forward a little
that,
bit.
But still, Engels sold a lot of work himself through
we're on to Engels.
capitalism. So he actually survived via this capitalistic system that he hated so much.
Yeah,
He lived
I know,
in
but
a
it's
society.
like it's also the
Did
only
you know that?
system that's
he was selling all these. He claims state capitalism, selling all these books.
Curious.
there wasn't anything else going on. So how else would he have? You know, I think he would have said to that that he was using the capitalistic system. You know, there was no other system available, and the capitalistic system.
She almost figured it out. She almost figured out the meme. She was almost like, you know, it's almost like there was no other system available. But he would be the first to say that he capitalism had to do.
It's not. How do I find this real quick?
Why? What are you thinking of?
Well, I just want to get a picture of the world that he was living in, the amount of people that were alive at that time,
from Marx's
versus
and
now,
writings, and none of these ideas have changed or grown over time. Guys,
it's significantly different. Like, we are in a plate. Wow, is that 1.4? 1.2 billion in 1850. So in 1850, this is when he first got to London. You think about how many. What is it? 7.8 billion now. I don't actually even know how many people are 3 billion in 1850. How many people live on the world right now, chat? I mean, you guys gonna help me out.
Oh, he's deep in the weeds.
But it was
when you bit off way more than you can chew.
In 1850. Okay.
There's going to be a y-axis and an x-axis. A z-axis, you say?
There wasn't as many people.
What sorcery is this?
You know, there's so many people on the planet now. And they're all so drastically different. If we shifted to a communist style of life, there's gonna be death. There will be famine.
That's what he was getting at.
People won't want to work. So
people won't want to work because of my.
There's already famine.
Famine's doing okay. And people are dying too. Sorry to spread this. Like, what Care Bears episode does he live in where everything is doing great?
But also, like, why does the fact that there are more people make that more of a problem? Because if there are more people and some people don't want to work, it's more likely that someone can cover it if there's more people, right?
Also
like
true.
It seems like that would be more likely now than it was when he said it, going by your extremely busted logic, like.
Yep. How about this? Can you fast forward to like near the end? I would like to know what his closing remarks are, but not if it's the exact end. It'll probably be like him just playing songs or something, but maybe close to the end.
Okay.
So to summarize, he was Mussolini.
Maybe you can do a deep dive on Sir Oswald Mosley, or perhaps an examination of Western alienation in Canada. Please take care. I wish you the best.
I can't wait for the next episode or the next season of Peaky Blinders.
Oh man. Oh, Mosley. Is that what made you think of it?
Isn't that him?
Is that him? Sir Oswald Mosley? I don't know if that was the guy.
Isn't Sir Oswald Mosley the guy who led the British Union of Fascists?
I actually don't know, so I don't want to.
I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah.
I think we've gone too far for his closing remarks.
So they're saying yes, British fascist, British Nazi. Yes. The chat has caught up. They're saying yes. Yep. Yes.
I don't know if I should read this. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that. I get what you're saying, but he says he's a legend and deserves the key to the city. I mean, I do believe that he was defending himself, and that's it. I have a few episodes.
Oh,
is he talking about Kyle?
I think that was someone who just did a super chat, so they could say that he's a hero and he was just defending himself. I think that's what just happened, and he's trying to play this one off.
Very cool.
Yeah.
On or about what happened there, you can check them out. Elizabeth Barlow says no mention of Karl's hatred for the Jewish people. He led the rise of the H-man in Germany. I didn't see any of that in my
extensive research.
In the one book
Yes.
about you remember that book that you sent me by what was his name?
Thomas Sowell? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas
Yeah,
Sowell.
so he investigated Karl Marx's he didn't have
anti-Semitism.
he didn't have a hatred for. He actually defended them. He was like snarky about them a lot, and would say he was snarky about all people though.
Oh, okay.
And there was some correspondence between him and Engels where he said some bad stuff, but the writings that he did about them ultimately defended them and defended their right to, have the same rights as everyone else.
Oh, right on. Well, there you go. Far Stepper says, "Dang, I missed the first part of the Krigler dive." Well, it wasn't a Krigler dive. It was it's my dive. Well, you can always go back. But thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
How is his dive different from a Krigler dive? I can no longer abide this. I grow weary of Weed Lord.
Hey, we want to mutual aid you to get some eyeballs on your work. So if you have a leftist YouTube channel or Twitch stream or something you want us to advertise, just send us a 20 to 30 second ad using the forums at weareserfs.com. We'll do our best to help you out. And please submit once per channel.
To our God, I'm Raft. We pray at your altar of greatness. To our monarch, Thomas Bone, you are the light that guides our path. To our lords, Jeffrey Lamb, Trevor R., Stephen, Ninetails Cosmic Fox, Hans Josephine, and Poppy Nelson, we bow meekly for your pleasure. To our knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Dylan Byth, Alexander Thaler, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Clement Chetska, Skybear Games, Moss Beast, Political Puppy, Ali Menthol, Jimmy Bignuts, Alan R., Andreas Chitoro, Good Poon Hates Cops, That's Solid Poon Then, Dr. Zayas, Joppy, Radiclu, Violent Orchard, and Sophie Baby, we salute you. And to our many merchants and farmers, thank you. Fuck you, Lance!